This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started.
Hello, and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor, and with me is the man behind the curtain.
Phil, me and Perich.
That's the one. Hey, Philip, glad you joined us once again to fill us all in on all the goings on in the world.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay. No, it's my pleasure. So lots of stuff going out there in the world today. We got a big drop recently for Disney Plus. Where they're basically showing, here's everything that's dropping on the first day, and it's like a 3-hour video and like a 10-page list, of which only 2 items really jumped out at me as like, oh my gosh. One is, of course, is the gummy bears.
Of course.
Of course. They are bouncing here and there and everywhere, Philip.
Yep.
It's high adventure that is literally beyond compare. You could not compare it to other high adventures because no, this is beyond that comparison. The other one that they had on there, which is something that just makes you very happy, is the computer who wore tennis shoes.
Okay.
Because, of course, it turns out Kurt Russell was Korvac the entire time. I'm putting it out there, man. It's gonna. They're moving towards that, man.
He's Ego.
Yeah, man. Ego was Korvac. You thought he was Ego. Actually, it was Korvac. For those who don't know, Kurt Russell was in a string of Disney teen comedies with a science fiction bent back in the. Oh, I have no idea when. Maybe the 60s, maybe the 70s. I think it was the 60s. Where he was basically he was actually a really cool looking nerd kid, and he would find himself in wacky adventures that were loosely associated with science, and one in which he merges with a computer and then becomes like a super genius. So
I blew Luca's mind the other day because we're watching the Goonies. It was on TV, and I said, "You see the older brother?" I'm like, "That's Thanos," and he's like, "No, he's like Thanos don't wear no headband."
Actually enough, yes, he does in the comics. Yeah, comic people love the headdresses. You ever notice that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But in no other field do people like just rock a headdress. But it's like, no, I need my crown. You know, need my towel, man. Gotta have that look.
Well, I mean, every like superhero either has like a helmet or a mask or some combination of the two. Even like in the 80s, like in the comics, Supergirl wore like a red headband. I mean, there's always something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone wore a headband in the 80s. That was our uniform. Yeah, see, Philip's too young to remember. But us 80s kids do remember.
I was a little kid in the 80s. I can't remember that.
Barely.
Was it?
Barely even remember Thunder the Barbarian.
That's right.
Yeah,
every video on MTV, someone was wearing a headband.
Yeah, I did. Keep the hair out of your face.
Oh, yeah, the hairband. Yeah.
I got all this hair, and I got to deal with it in some way. And unfortunately, you can't just wear a headband to work anymore, I mean, you can't be a girl. That's always that thing. It's like women's fashions. You can always have an accessory, and no one questions it. Yeah. But like if you're a dude, you wear a headband to work, like, what's wrong, dude? Why are you wearing a headband to work? It's not the approved uniform for men.
All right, I'm pretty sure I know this already, but like the Disney Plus stuff, since you watched like the whole trailer, new Marvel stuff is like day one, right? It's the Mandalorian's day one, right?
Yeah, Mandalorian is day one. Okay. Which is good. Which honestly, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think What If is coming fairly soon because they've had it in the works for a while. It's animation.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit more of a flexible activity they can do with it,
Yeah, I don't think any of the new live action stuff is supposed to come till 2020. Is it 2020 or 2021?
2020. I think WandaVision. Well, when does Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness come out?
I don't know. I have to look, but Yeah, I thought maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier was the first live action.
Well, I think that is the first, but I think then that's quickly followed by Wanda because basically it's set up to. So, for example, here's essentially how you can figure out how it's going to go. It's like you'll have a Disney Plus series, and that's going to lead in directly or indirectly to the next Marvel movie. So you have Black Widow. That's probably going to tie into Captain America and Bucky. You're going to have WandaVision. That's going to tie into I just want to call it Doctor Strange in the Mouth of Madness, but it's actually
all right for the TV series. It looked there's only one in 2020. It's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like we said, and then 2021 is WandaVision, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and then Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk are still to be announced. So
okay, but along those lines, you've got so 2021, yeah.
Okay, here's the movies: Black Widow's 2020, The Eternals is 2020, and then 2020.
Really?
What?
Oh, I'm surprised that Eternals is 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, all I've heard is casting. I've not even. I mean, I think Black Widow's in the can already. So yeah, I figured that would be 2020.
I mean, I mean, Eternals might be late 2020. So I mean, we might be like a year, still a year off from that. But but 2021, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man 3, of course, and then Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh, so like 4 Marvel movies in 2021.
Well, Shang-Chi's on Disney Plus.
No, it's a movie.
Oh, that's a like straight up movie?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, good for Shang-Chi. Although I kind of think he works better in a serial. Oh, that's just my theory, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, yeah. So, but we got the Mandalorian. That's what everyone is like. That's our Star Wars property. And not for nothing, I think Disney probably didn't want to open with Marvel because they don't want to be seen as using Marvel as a crutch, and probably they feel that they need to build up their Star Wars properties more anyway.
Well, it sounds like they're going to be going through Star Wars is going through like some kind of transition phase, because I think I saw something tonight where they're like, episode 9 is going to like kind of cap off and end that like original stuff, and then going forward we're going to have all brand new stuff. So,
well, yeah, of course, because episode 9 ends the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
but it's a whole freaking galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
You really think the petty squabbles of the Skywalker clan encompass the whole of the galaxy? Like,
Oh, you know what we need though? You know what we need though? Like you remember those Netflix Marvel shows? We always had like a central character, like Claire, who'd like jump from show to show and stuff. Who was like the one that tied everything together. What if we had like Chewbacca as like the one that like tied? Because all you need is a guy in a suit.
Yeah, well, I mean, more likely they'll use BB-8 or R2.
True.
Just because they're literally
droids,
not even guys in suits anymore. It's
true. Remote control.
It's real. Yeah, it's audio tape and remote control. So yeah, but they'll do what they do. I mean, I'd like to see more C-3PO. Because he's there at the beginning, man. Built by Darth Vader himself.
Yeah, but then he gets mind wiped. They wipe his memories or whatever.
Yeah, because it's just a machine and he's property, and doesn't. Who cares if he's sentient?
And he can't know who Darth Vader is. He got blowed in the first movie.
Yeah, well, it's the original the first 3 or 1, 2, and 3, not the first 3, but 1, 2, and 3 do no favors for the rebellion. I'm just going to say that right now. It's like, wait, are you sure you're the good guys?
Yeah.
Because granted, they're living in a world of not good people, and so you can say, well, comparatively, it's like Benjamin Franklin didn't even own slaves. Sure, he was completely racist and horrible in other ways, but on that one big test, he passed.
Oh, but, I know. Revenge of the Sith. What is that? That is number 3. I was just like, okay, who are supposed to be the good guys here?
None of them are. That's the problem. Is that because it's about the darkening of the universe.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you You get into a world where suddenly, maybe
you needed a
for foreign policy is just fine. Who cares,
I mean,
everybody does it.
I guess in Revenge of the Sith, you had to have like a gray, morally ambiguous world, so Anakin wouldn't be an easy choice either way for Anakin Skywalker.
I think it was always an easy choice.
Well, he was following love, but I'm just saying, between the Empire and the Jedi, it's like, okay, you're gonna help me save my family, okay.
Except he doesn't even. That's the thing. It's like
I know.
None of it works out the way he wants it to because
the Emperor was messing with him the whole time.
Well, yeah, because he's a dumb guy. That's the thing.
That's what podcast was listening to today. They're like, yeah, it's funny in that original trilogy. When Obi's telling Luke, your father was this great pilot and this great warrior and all this, and then we get those prequels and it's Hayden Christensen. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? It's canon now, man. You can't fight canon.
Well, I guess you always remember someone else. Most of the time, you remember people more fondly in death. So,
except he didn't die. It's like he could have just said, he had some rough times. Kind of became Darth Vader, and
and Obi was acting like Anakin was dead. Telling Luke, "Oh yeah, Darth Vader killed your father."
Which is just, not for nothing, a lie. It's like,
yeah.
And that's mostly because, George didn't know he was going to get a sequel. That's the thing. It's like,
and again, isn't Darth Vader technically like a cyborg? So it's like, is Anakin even still alive in there? Or is it just like a robot using his body?
Who knows?
Who knows?
But, I'm more excited about The Mandalorian because not for nothing, it'll be nice to have a person in the universe who isn't a Skywalker.
Yes.
Just to have a story that is not about this one family that is acting the fool, endangering the whole universe, I'm really hoping that, what is this last episode called? Episode 9, what's it called?
Is it The Rise of Skywalker or something?
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker or something like that. Yeah, I'm just hoping that it's like the whole end of it. And someone actually suggested that there won't be Jedi anymore. There will be Skywalkers. And they will be those who walk upon the sky. Mary Poppins their way back to the ship,
or like
yada yada yada.
Or like Rey or somebody like rebuilds the Jedi as something.
No,
new.
they're not going to be the Jedi anymore. That's the point. It's like you can't be the Jedi because the Jedi were.
There'll be a new group.
The Jedi were as flawed as the Sith, and this is essentially the argument they're going to make. The Jedi were as flawed as the Sith because the Jedi were essentially, religious fundamentalists. They were the Puritans.
Yeah.
To the Sith Satanists, and at the end of the day, you know what? Neither one of you guys really got it figured out. You're just taking poles and assuming that if you swing from that pole long enough, you're going to get where you're going. But it's like you're still stuck to a pole. And the actual truth of it is you have to move between the poles. You got to find the way towards where you want to go. So.
But yeah, I did double check. It is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So.
Yeah, so that's a theory that's out there, is that basically when they rebuild the Jedi, they're not going to be the Jedi anymore. It's like, no, we will be the Skywalkers. Because it's arguably about Kylo Ren's redemption arc. So the first 3 are about Anakin's fall into the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
The second 3 are about Luke's wandering the wilderness, essentially. Trying to find how you be a Jedi in a corrupt world. And then the last will be Kylo's effort to become what Vader was supposed to be, the one who brings balance to the Force. So that is arguably our 9-part 3-story arc, 3-act structure. So that's it. Is you do a trilogy because it's supposed to have the traditional 3-act structure, and then you do a nonology because each of the 3 is its own part of the 3-act structure. It's supposed to be able to expand and break it down like a fractal. I don't know if it really works unless you're trying to fit it into the mold. The good thing about molds is no matter what, if you chop it up fine enough, you can fit it into the mold. You know, that's the great thing about molds. Is like, yeah, we can find the one part that fits here. We just got to cut this part out, stick it right there, and that's the mold. So we fit the mold.
All right, so
Isn't that lovely?
yes. All right, so you said you have Watchmen theories.
Oh well, so I'm really excited about the Watchmen. It's not out yet.
No,
I mean, critics get to watch it, but I guess we're not critics. Maybe we need to be more critical, Philip.
Need to be more low hellfire. Yeah.
Well, she's here. I mean, she's on the staff.
I know.
At least she should get the. Well, you know what? She's so open with her piracy. They probably don't want to give her.
True.
Yeah, it's like no, because she's gonna give it to everyone, and then we'll be like, "Yep, I absolutely will."
I think we need more cachet. We need more juice.
I need more juice. I've been drinking the apple juice every episode, Philip, and they ain't helping.
It's not the pee.
Anyway, so as we move forward, so Watchmen is premiering, I guess, Sunday night now? I thought it was Saturday night. I thought it was the 28th.
No, it's Sunday because I think, it's that Game of Thrones slot, I think. So, they're looking for their new Game of Thrones thing. Yeah. Yeah,
well, and I have high hopes for this. I like the idea of how Rorschach is a white supremacist symbol now. And, not for nothing. Everyone's like, oh, no, he wasn't a white supremacist before. It's like, really? He wasn't? Are you sure about that?
And again, too, if he's dead, anyone can pick up that thing and make it whatever they want.
Well, exactly. And I guess to me, though, so there's two levels to this. One is like, it's, so bold. They're making, as they tell the story, how a character evolves, how a character becomes beyond what he ever really was meant to be. But at the same time, he was an extreme objectivist. And generally speaking, objectivists, and I'm sure there are many Black and Asian and other objectivists out there. And I bet you feel you're the best the best star of the story that you could be,
Yeah.
And I bet you think that people who are like you are probably closer to being the best than other people. And I bet you think that people who aren't like you are probably not as likely to be the best there is at what they are. So, it's like, objectivism kind of lends itself to the self-aggrandizement that racism thrives on. And the idea that, Rorschach is now a white supremacist symbol, might be upsetting to people who say, I'm not a racist, but I think if you go back to the original books, there's a lot in that, even if he doesn't use racial language, is racially coded, because anyone who knows the 80s knows, that's when urban became a word,
Mm-hmm.
When he talks about urban decay, he's not talking about poor white folk, even though he was poor white folk. He's talking about the people that weren't as lovely as his sainted whore of a mother. So, it's easy to see how the writings of Rorschach can get manipulated like a Mein Kampf into a white supremacist.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the stuff on the Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it takes place in Oklahoma 34 years after the comic book ends. Yeah, Robert Redford is the longest serving U.S. president, elected in 1992. Yeah, the Rorschachs are like a white supremacy group. But I guess they commit attacks on the houses of police officers. So the police start wearing masks.
Yeah, so. And that's your basic premise. It's essentially the idea of like, if we start with that superhero world, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And part of it is this idea of moving beyond, this idea that if people are going to wear masks, if we're going to allow vigilantes.
Well, they're outlawed. It said they after all the violence there, they outlaw vigilantes.
Well, vigilantes were outlawed from the original Watchmen,
Yeah.
So I mean that's not new, but then the idea that we'll have legalized vigilantes,
I just wonder, because they are having Ozymandias in this, is like, I know in Doomsday Clock it jumps ahead too, but it's like, I wonder if it, like in the comic, like the public finds out what Ozymandias did at the end of the movie, well, in the comic, but
no, they don't. It's as Alan Moore said, he leaves it in the hands of the.
I'm saying in Doomsday Clock that they eventually find out.
Well, yeah. Well, that's yeah.
Yeah. Is that why you love this?
We haven't read that book yet, so
is that why you're?
I'm waiting for it to go on trade, Phil, which will be sometime in 2032.
Well, no, I think the first volume's coming out soon in the next couple months, and I'm like, the series isn't even over yet. I know. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're collecting the first half of it. The second half's not even done yet.
I'll buy the hardbound edition, then I'll find out what happened.
Left, though. Maybe it'll be out by spring. But no,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is this why you're looking so forward to this HBO series? Because it'll tick Alan Moore off.
I doubt it will. I doubt Alan Moore cares that much about
he cares about everything, especially his work.
Well, I don't know. Honestly, he's getting up there now. He's got two beautiful wives and a lovely.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think he's got two.
Are you saying?
I'm pretty sure he's polyamorous.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is he on his second wife, or he has two?
No. He's got two people that he And honestly, for all I know, those two are the couple, and he's sort of like, yeah, I pay the bills. I mean,
okay.
Nothing wrong with that either. Quite frankly, honestly, he's older than me, so it's like, yeah, he might be like, yeah, I'm good, gals, I'm good. I'm gonna go watch Fox News now and yell at the TV.
What? He's like half at the end of his life. He's like, okay, girls, just give me like 30 seconds twice a year. I'm good.
Well, it's like at a certain point, it's like, I'd rather have the strawberry ice cream. It's like, yeah, it's like I'd rather just sit down and have the ice cream. We can talk and chat, and then we'll sit there, we'll watch a movie, and you'll be beautiful next to me. And I was like, hey, this is pretty good.
Tell me what the young people are talking about these days.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know Alan Moore's life. Maybe he's a demon in the sack. I don't know. Maybe he's still 100%, there every morning, every night, and good for him. But at the same time, maybe he's like, you know what? It's good. And I could be wrong that he has two. I could be completely wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But I think the last time I saw a documentary with him, I think there was like the wife and then the assistant,
Yeah.
So, and for all I know, there might be a rotation on the assistants. There might be a rotation on the wives. I don't know. But, or maybe he's just a nice homebody kind of guy who just works his wonderful black magic the way he does and hopes to change the world.
He is 65 years old.
Well, good for him. He's 20 years older than me, which means I'll be there before too long. And you know what? Hopefully he gets another 30 years out of the deal. It always freaks me out when I hear about people dying before like 74, because it's like, that's too close to where I am right now. It's like, no, you should have gotten further. Really freaks me out when it's like, oh, he's not even a fat guy. It's like, dude, you're not even a fat guy and you died before 74. What are you doing? You're really making it hard for me here. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes, Watchmen. So the cops are wearing masks, and that's the premise. And then we have sort of this, we have the escalating gang war, which is always the thing. Now, what's interesting about this, one of the questions that I think is one of the real questions about this is it 30 years after the comic, or is it 30 years after the movie?
I mean, well, the comic and the movie are they're in the same time frame. They're basically the same story. Ending.
Yeah, was it a squid or was it Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah.
Because I think the big elephant in the room is what's Manhattan up to?
Oh yeah, they said he's in this series, so
I know he's in the series.
Yeah.
And what makes me wonder is, because here's the thing.
Well, in the movie,
This dropping. Well, let me say a word.
Okay.
This dropping, while Crisis on Infinite Earths is happening, makes me wonder: is DC playing some three-dimensional chess here? And is the final episode going to tie into the Watchmen with Dr. Manhattan deciding that this universe needs a little more mixoplexing up?
That's kind of what they're doing with Doomsday Clock in the comics. So
yeah, and not for nothing. Is it just me, or did it kind of strike you that Dr. Manhattan is just like a big blue mixoplex?
Well, he's the God machine. It's like whatever we need, he can do.
I know, but just the idea, like, I'm gonna screw with this universe. It's like, really, dude. Mr. Mixoplex wants his bowler and his act back. It's like, but again, that's why absolute control is the super.
Well, I mean, again, and it boils down to like plot device, because it's like, oh, people didn't like New 52 when we changed everything in DC Comics. Well, it was all Dr. Manhattan's fault.
Yeah,
because
I actually thought they had a. See, but what's weird about that is that I kind of felt like there was a completely solid explanation of that, which was that there was this.
Well, yeah, Barry Allen
group of people that needed. No. There was a whole thing about. I remember that you could only have 52 universes because that was the stable number of universes for reasons, and there was like this group of. I think they were called the Monitors, and they were like the ones who had each of the balls of the universe in like a big jar. And that was like a thing because you had to keep them stable. Yeah. Because if you had more than 52 universes, it would be unstable. So I felt like they had the answer, and then it's like, well, now we're going to just change that answer.
Well, again, people didn't
change your answer, Alex. It's like, no, you can't change your answer.
Well, again, a lot of people didn't like New 52, so they're just like, oh, well, Dr. Manhattan came in and stole like years of time off everybody, and stole the moments
And this is my argument with Galactus. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean you get to ignore it. Canon is canon, okay? If it happened, it happened. You don't get to ignore it. You don't get to pretend like it didn't happen. Now you can reboot a universe and say, well, in this universe, maybe things are a little bit different. But then you can't always reference that every 5 seconds in your main storyline if you've decided it's not canon anymore.
Well, that's the thing. DC was getting sick of having the reputation of rebooting every 10 to 20 years. So they're, when they went from New 52 to Rebirth, they're like, oh no, this isn't a reboot. They just basically took whatever they wanted from the old stuff from the New 52 and kind of mashed it together, which I don't think was perfect. So then that's literally
what a reboot is. That's literally what they've done every single other time.
I know, but they'll never admit it. They will never admit it anymore.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
I know. Well, that's why they did the whole Dr. Manhattan thing. There's like, oh no, the universe didn't reboot. Dr. Manhattan just messed with it, and now I think they're going the complete opposite direction. They're like, I think they're trying to make all the canon, everything in DC ever count. So
they should just go full Gwenpool and say, actually, no, it's a fictional universe. Everything that has happened did happen, and then this also happened too, and that makes things be weird. But you know what? Just read the damn book and tell us if it's a good book, okay?
Yeah. I mean, they tried with New 52, but it's like, it's basically, okay, Superman's at day one, but they didn't want to completely reboot Batman because it was selling well, and it's like, okay, and are you going to do this, day one of Superman, but hey, we want Harley Quinn right now too. So it's like, I don't think they thought out the timelines and stuff. They didn't have a plan because like they basically just jumped in and saying, oh yeah, this universe, even though you didn't see the first 5 years, is basically going for 5 years already. So
yeah,
they didn't have the timeline, I think, written out completely. And it's just like, okay,
well, that's not a good idea then.
No, then you'd have different writers coming in. It's like, okay, well, you just contradicted what the last writer said, and it was just a mess.
It sounds like it, but hopefully DC will have better luck with future projects. Batman and Birds of Prey and whatnot that are coming soon.
Yeah. Do you want to do you want to talk some comics?
Let's talk some comics. So anyway, for those of you who haven't heard like 6 times already, History of the Marvel Universe 4, it's not a good book.
I didn't mention Secret Wars 2.
It didn't mention Secret Wars 2, didn't mention Spider-Man's wedding.
Again,
So
I'm sure there's probably a mandate where like, don't mention that wedding. Maybe they'll forget.
no, well, first off, the wedding was the best thing that ever happened to Spider-Man.
Thank you.
And it exists in several other universes, so it's like it's not like it's gone. It's just like you're just being a jerk about it. And
I know.
More to the point, it's like, so here's what I'll say. In Marvel Saga, they did jump forward and jump back.
Yeah.
So when you actually read the old classic Marvel Saga, which is what this book is judged against.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So literally in Marvel Saga, like almost every issue, or every other issue, they'd like jump back to Fantastic Four, or then they do one page. Like first time you did a deeper one, then it's like, okay, and here's one page on it, and now here's more stuff, and here's how that relates back to this. So it's possible we'll get that going on.
Mm.
But if episode 5 isn't as good, I might even drop this. Because this was kind of disappointing as far as canonical ideas go. It's like,
and is it? But
you're not giving me anything canonical in it.
I think it's either 5 or 6. I think, but here I'll look it up. But is it just? Is it
only 5 issues?
Well, no,
or 6 issues.
I'll look it up again. But I mean, do you think maybe 2? It's like Wade only had so many pages to tell.
Well, yeah, I mean, understanding that. See, I guess to me on that level, that's a whole other bag of hammers. It's like, I only have so many pages to tell this story. Well then, okay, so I might give him some forgiveness on that. And
it's like most of these events, it seems like everything only gets 1 page. It's like try to explain Secret Wars 2 in 1 page, and then it's like,
I mean, you could have even done it in like a panel on the Secret Wars panel.
Yeah.
Saying, and then the Beyonder came to Earth and did a whole thing, and stuff got real. But hey, he like fell in love with Dazzler, and that was cool. Even have Dazzler in this issue. So playing up Dazzler would have been pretty awesome, but they did nothing with her. She was even a Herald of Galactus once, and not even Galactus didn't even mention. Not even going to mention.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be 6 issues.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we'll see. And honestly, because I don't think they're even going to mention the incursions. That's the thing. I don't even think they're going to mention that, and it's a little frustrating. So yeah, a little disappointment on History of the Marvel Universe for me. Unreliable narrative Galactus, and not enough deep dives, and time limitations being what they are. I understand that, but at the same time, then why are you doing a History of the Marvel Universe if you're not going to do deep dives? Why are you charging me $5 a book and I'm not getting deep dives?
It's not complete. Yeah, why don't they go like 12 with this or something and give them more room to win?
Exactly. Well, I mean, not for nothing. I think that would have been the smart way. I actually assumed it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think Marvel Saga was like 12 issues. Might have actually been 15. But, the idea is that there's a lot of history to cover. We're going to cover it all and tell this entire story of the Marvel Universe. And now you've added 30 more years to it, but you're going to do it in 6 issues. And that just makes it look like a cash grab.
Yeah, and even from the cash grab angle, you'd think they would want to do 12 because then they probably get two trades out of this instead of 1.
Well, maybe they feel like that there aren't enough old nerds like me who like to read anymore. Like maybe they're that kid Tristan's not going to read 6 books. Hey, I tell you this, kids.
Yeah,
Tristan ain't buying this book.
Yeah, but yeah, but it's like you would think they'd market this to the kids and the young ones because it's instead of saying, hey, instead of going back and reading all these books, here, read this series and it'll catch you up to the present day.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of reasons, but I'm going to say that as happy as I was the first 3 issues,
yeah,
this episode just really dropped me off because it's like they were big, and for what it's worth, and here's what I'll tell you: probably if I was an older Marvel fan, I might have dropped off earlier because it was like, how can you not talk about the time Kid Colt fought the Skrulls or something, you know? So somebody who had been a fan for much longer who feels that like all that 40s stuff got short shrift, you know? So yeah, I mean, maybe next issue all the 90s kids will start to drop off. Like, how could they forget about, this thing that happened?
I mean, I don't know if it'll even be past the 90s because like Spider-Man Clone Saga, which they mentioned was in the 90s in this issue. Age of Apocalypse was 90s. It was in here. The whole onslaught. Oh, the whole Heroes Reborn onslaught thing with Franklin Richards on the last page.
Yeah, that was our cliffhanger. That was our quote unquote cliffhanger ending.
Yeah, that was like 96.
Yeah, and so I think we're going to get to the Awesome and the Teens in the next one, which means that arguably we should get the Incursions next issue.
Mm-hmm.
But that, not for nothing, the Incursions beg a whole issue with everything we've seen. It's like, it's the end of the universe. Of course, this current end of this current universe, but we've been here before.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the solicit. I think issue 6 they're saying it's going to catch you up the current day and maybe even go a little past it to the catch you up to where Galactus. Yeah, well
they got to catch up with the Black Mask character.
Well, Galactus and Franklin too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got to deal with the whole Hulk story. Ugh.
Why are they going cosmic with Hulk?
Yeah, well, first off, Marvel, just be canonical. Don't be non-canonical. No one likes you when you're non-canonical. It's that's the thing that Marvel always has going for it, is that it happened.
Yeah.
That is like Marvel's, even when they reboot the universe, still happened.
That's your strength.
It all still happened.
That's your strength over DC. It happened. It all happened.
It all happened. No matter how ridiculous or silly it is, you know what? It all happened. And we're going to turn into our skids when we're crazy, and we're going to pull out of it and be serious at the last moment when you didn't even expect it. So, yeah. So, I don't know. I'm as much as I like I said, I loved the first 3 books. This was really one of my favorite books until this one, when I really started seeing, because I knew what happened in between the panels, when I was like, well, no, that's kind of important. You should really talk about the Beyonder and his choice to destroy Dat. It's like, yeah, it happened in one panel, but that's actually a super significant thing that happened in one panel. So anyway, I'm getting too angry. Let's talk about Captain America.
All right. Number 15. Yes.
Yeah, that's Mr. Coates guy. He's doing quite well for himself. Although, it's interesting, the whole secrets that Cap keeps from Sharon, and secrets Sharon is keeping from Cap. Do you think they're setting this up so that them breaking up and then Cap going with young hot super soldier Peggy Carter?
Oh,
is going to be.
I definitely got that same vibe. I'm like, there's tension between Steve and Sharon. Oh yeah, he's definitely. He don't care. Whatever one's hotter, whatever one's younger and hotter at the time, that's who he goes with. Sharon, Peggy.
I don't believe that. He actually was totally into Peggy Carter when she was old.
Yeah, but remember,
he never cared.
When he came back in the 60s, it was like, Peggy was still kind of around, but he's like, oh, hey, you got a sister who's younger and hotter.
Well, no, he met the sister before Peggy.
Oh, you look like her.
Peggy was in a loony bin at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you can't always hold Cap responsible for the fact that these Carter women lie to him constantly. It's like poor Cap in the whole Winter Soldier story, where he's like, "Oh, you kissed your girlfriend's niece, man. That's not cool." It's like he had kissed her before and didn't know it was his niece. And now he's like,
"Yeah,
now that you finally told me this huge secret, do I kiss you? Well, you think I'm being a jerk because I'm not kissing you because now I know we have a relationship?" It's like, what is my move in this storyline? And there is not a right move. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of tension with Cap and Sharon, and then and also he's like upset that Sharon has been running this whole Daughters of Liberty thing, and so Yeah, I mean, I'm very fascinated to see where they go. I'm really disappointed that they haven't brought in from the Infinite Elevator, Cap and Sharon's child, who is bound with the Venom symbiote.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, wasn't he a male? So it's like I guess they're doing the whole female thing for some reason. I mean, maybe this Sharon.
No, that was so. There was Demo's son.
Yeah.
Ian, I think he named him.
I think, yeah.
Who Cap raised in Z World, and he comes back with Cap along with. Well, actually, no, he stays in Z World, gets raised by Sharon, and then he brings I forget what Zemo called his daughter, but it was Midnight Black something or other. And she, and then there's a whole thing, yada, yada, yada. But then when he takes up the title of Nomad, he goes, his partner, goes in the Infinite Elevator, goes to the Hydra world, meets this sort of ragtag group of heroes, which are like all sort of like the heroes, but are like all not as good, because that's why Hydra is dominant. And you see that he has that, Cap and Sharon in this universe had a child who is, kind of super soldiered up, and then she gets the symbiote. And it was a cool story. Then at the end, they go back to the 616, but then they never follow up on that. So a little disappointing. Scourge is back. That's the big reveal.
Yep.
Scourge is killing people. Those who don't recall, Scourge was actually controlled by Red Skull, along with the Watchdogs and the Resistance Mutant group. Everybody was under the skull, so yeah. That's that. Okay.
I I definitely got that vibe too, that they're creating tension between Steve and Sharon. So he'll get with Peggy once he finds out it's Peggy, because he still doesn't know it's her.
See, and that's the thing. Like, to me, I don't think so. I really don't. Especially within the concept that because so this Peggy, first up, this Peggy pretty much has to be the Exiles Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way it really makes sense, that the Exiles Peggy is just out being Peggy in this universe. But that also suggests that the Ricky Barnes that we just met in Future Foundation is her Becky Barnes that got brought to the future from that universe too. So there's a lot going on in here that is going to be interesting to explore.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's talked to each other, but I hope they have. And we'll see where it goes. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about, Phil?
No, I think we're good.
I mean, I will say I loved Agents of Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
It has the Sentry. They beat up the Sentry and Fat Cobra, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. Basically does the super chi punch, and knock all the evil out of him, and then he takes the little void that's now been marbleized, and he eats it because he's Fat Cobra. It's not the first time he ever had to eat a demonic idol. So, and here he is in a nice sweater. Yeah. So that's good. Bizarre Adventures. I loved everything except the last story, which is a Black Goliath story, which sort of plays him as this total dude bro, and it's like, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, wasn't he like he's a scientist.
Well, he mentions that, I'm a scientist, and I'm not going to bore you with the science. Then they go into this whole thing about how, he pulls mass from another dimension. And then they suggest that every time one of these people grow, they are pulling these, like, sentient beings out of their universe to build their mass. I don't know, man. It's kind of nutty as a concept. And in general, they just play him as this, like, kind of self-centered, egotistical jerk, and that's not who Bill Foster was.
Yeah.
And it really, honestly, it was just leaves a real bad taste in your mouth after the other stories, which were all amazing. You have a Ulysses Bloodstone story, which is sort of a Conan story, set in that basic Hyborian age because he's immortal and stuff, and he fights a Skrull, and it gets all crazy, and because the Skrull wants to steal the Bloodstone. And this amazing story is just it's both visually and telling story. This the Shang-Chi story, and that's really awesome. Meets up with some old guy who I was waiting for him to say, yeah, it's good to see you too, Dad. Because they basically get into the whole ninja fight, and it's all cool and whatnot, and but then Shang-Chi stops to save a dog, and the old guy kicks him in the throat. He says, "Man, you lost that battle because you tried to save a dog. What are you even doing?" And then we have this really lovely story with Dracula where he meets a lady, Evelyn O'Reilly, Evelyn O'Reilly, who's actually Evelyn Van Helsing, and he kind of falls in love with her, but then eventually she dies, and Dracula's like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna remember you forever, and I'm gonna love you forever," and it's kind of sad. Oh. And it's like, oh man, yeah, Dracula. Every so often he still has that human heart still beats in his breast, just only once every 7 years. So that's good. And then there's Contagion, which I also read, which is okay. And that's all the books I read this week. Phil, anything you want to add?
No, I think between this and Capes, we talked all the comics.
We have talked it all. We've talked it out. We didn't even mention that Kevin Feige is now the CCO of Marvel Studios.
The creative, yes.
Which maybe means absolutely nothing as far as what he does in his job, but at least means that he doesn't have anyone to answer. So, good for Kevin. Make more stuff and give it to us for free. Okay. In the meantime, Philip, if people would like to talk to you about comics, movies, and stuff that they would like to get for free too, how can they reach you?
I can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp. Remember, call our voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And find all the social media links at linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics.
And of course, you can always write to me in an old-fashioned email way the way our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet shows that I feel like when I want to, and you can't make me, at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Yes, SCR. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That has been this show once again this week. Thank you for connecting with us. Please, super connect with us again next week.
Good night.
And now we dance.
He's a pro, people. We fell asleep 15 minutes ago, but he's still going.
Oh yeah, I'm trying, Philip.
No, I'm saying you're the man.
I really wanted this to be a half-hour show, but not what happened.
Your mind is just full of knowledge, Charlie Esser.
Yeah, something like that. It's full of something.
People demand more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope people like this.